king b6. It's got to go e5, a7, take. And the whole point is that black, with his king so far up the board, well, is there a check here, Maurice? Wait a minute. Don't tell me that this could be wrong. Hold on. Did I just do something wrong? What did I do wrong?
What do you mean?
Well, rook takes his force, right?
Yes.
King takes. So now I have a check. Oh,
no, but
it's
just
okay.
plays. Yeah,
I could draw you back a square, but that's the best I can do. And when I come up with the king, the pawn, king, pawn, king, king.
No, this way is one tempo short.
King. And
but try it back up, because there are a lot of these that we learned to try in this position here. Check and then rook over. Good technique. King b6. Pawn up. King b5.
King b5. Pawn up.
Pawn up. King b4.
Now you're threatening me with a check. So
yes.
Yes.
And unfortunately, again, the one tempo short. I'd love to be on b3 right now with the king. If I play king b3. If only I could play rook check now, too, if you just give me a free move so my king can come closer. Unfortunately, after e2,
I'm just in time.
King, rook check, king e3, and this is already drawn.
Yeah.
And back up one move, and now I have king b2 instead, and king d2, and rook check, and very important move, king to e3, instead of going in front of your own pawn, and the same problem is on the board.
Exactly.
So a tempo short in this position. And there was another line that's important to note as well. So we go back, even further back, right here. So you just played e5, rook to c7, and pawn up, and the king move, and now king b7, and pawn up, and now you want to play the move rook to c8. Unfortunately, he goes back to e7, and there we go again.
Here we go again. We've got Michael Macy who says, "Can you explain why the Lucena position doesn't work if the pawn is on the A file?"
Yeah, because you can't go to the Z file.
To the Z.
That's the reason. You need to be able to go to two sides of the board in order to either be threatening to go to the B file or the file on the other side of the A file. So there's no Z file or negative A or whatever that letter would be.
I guess I. The I file.
Wow.
I or Z.
This tournament has a lot of content, emotional content. This one, watching my friend Veselin Topalov struggle and realize that all of his efforts have been in vain. That's really,
it's hard to watch.
Very painful.
Even though you were a Wesley So fan and probably as a member of the American delegation are technically rooting for him, you still feel bad for Wesley.
Absolutely. He's making
mistake because when
This
the
is
pawn
the fatal
advances, when the
'Cause
pawn
we
advances,
check
rook
you.
check, and then when your king goes down, this king shows up suddenly. You must keep the king out, even though it looks like you're moving your king away from your own pawn. So in this position, king d4 is critical, totally necessary, and the white king cannot engage in the fight, and the threat is e3, e2, and then your king will move forward. So very instructive moment here that we learn. It's the basic rook and pawn endgame books. One of the first few principles you learn, in fact, is this shouldering technique.
Now remember that what we've noticed in this tournament is that it's not just about rook and pawn, it's rook versus pawn. That's a very important endgame because rook and pawn often converts into it. So that's like the building block. Because we've also seen knight versus pawn. We've seen several piece versus pawn endgames in this tournament, and don't neglect those in your studies because it's really the building block.
So let's switch up. Let's switch up and test the audience.
Yeah.
The move right now, if white were to play rook to a3 check, and we'll ask the audience in this moment, rook a3, what would you play? What would you play if you saw this move appear on the board?
Yeah, let's hashtag Sinquefield Cup, guys. While you're working on that, I'll read Olympio or Sod's tweet that says, Wesley So proves again he's the real deal. Get that boy a spot in the candidates tournament already. Looks like we have a fan. Wesley fan. Plenty of Wesley fans out there.
Your story, Jennifer, serendipity of reading chess in-game book, and lo and behold, 1 week later having the exact position, reminded me of, I was over, when I was in Moscow, I went to Gary's apartment, Gary Kasparov, and we had a blitz session. And I got a position where I had king, 2 pawns, and a rook against king, rook, and pawn. So I'm a pawn up. I'm trying to win. I know it's a draw. I'm trying to win. And Gary just shouts, draw! And stops the clock. I said, what do you mean draw? I'm playing for the win. He says, draw. And he goes to his study, pulls out an endgame book, opens it up, says, right there. There's the game position. Nikolai Minev in his rook ending book. I studied this as a child. I don't have to show you why. and he resets the pieces on me. I was so impressed. Look, if you
find the page in the book,
and you find it just like that, okay, you got the draw, Gary. But I thought that was impressive that not only did he remember the endgame, the exact endgame, but he remembered the book and the author. I was, wow.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good, but we are influenced by. There it is. He's playing the move.
Here we go.
And do you know the answer, folks? There's only one way to draw.
There's only one move.
There's only one move. You must find it. But if you've been listening,
you'll know what it is.
Then you'll know exactly what that move is. And it's the last little trick that he is playing against Levon Aronian. And I will tell you, 999 times out of 100. 999 times out of 1,000, Levon's going to find this next move. And the only time he doesn't find it, if there's only half a second left on his clock and he has to make a move. But there's only one way now, this final trick.
King d4. And
well,
why is that
for the audience that doesn't know? King d4, you must shoulder now.
Yes.
Right now,
King d4. If you go king d2, then you transpose into that exact line that we looked at a moment ago. Here, and my king is back just in the nick of time to stop your pawn from making it to e2. So there's one and one only move, and that's king d4, and that's 100%er.
And we do have a couple people on our Twitter feed who correctly got it. Ben Rise Brow and King's Pawn both said if rook a3, king d4. So good job, guys.
I feel like a good teacher, good coach, finding the one alternate line that could transpose.
Don't you dare send me your invoice.
There it is, and his time is ticking down. He's at 152 and counting, and he just simply must find the shoulder and move, king to d4, which Levon knows quite well is the principle in this position, and he will draw the game. Anything else loses on the spot
to a7.
To a7, and that will be that. So, and of course, he is one of the world's best players for a reason. He found the move, king to d4, to the chagrin of Veselin Topalov, now a7, and simply rook takes on a7 now, followed by e4.
Whoa. We actually had a Zwischenzug.
Oh, yes, one check. No, that was an important check as well. That was an important check. Check him first, bring the king further down the board, and now we have this position.
So here we see it on the board, this king and pawn versus rook endgame, in which black can successfully stop the king from getting closer to the pawn. That key shouldering technique.
Yes.
And look who's coming back to the club. Does that mean
he's even changed his shirt? He's got on the chain.
Oh, look at that! I guess he was, and he's shaking Randy's hand. The game's not over yet, Wesley.
Oh, the game's over. He knows
it is. It's about to be.
Yeah. He's getting his congratulations already. As he sees this endgame is close to the end. Veselin's actually shaking his head. He's shaking his head here. We hear some noise in the club. I think people are maybe people applauded Wesley when he came in the room.
I think that was what it was. Yeah. And on the other side of that coin, of course, must be a very disappointed manager, Svidler, who is a regular with Veselin Topalov. They've toured the world together. His protege right on the verge of victory to get into a playoff, and he found the wrong idea in this basic rook ending.
Very frustrated. So many ways he could have proven this ending to be a win, and instead, see the picture there of frustration.
Wesley's
smile. And on the other side, jubilation.
Yeah.
Beautiful smile, happy young man, 22 years old, his entire career in front of him, all the opportunities that he will have to try to prove himself to be the best player in the world at some point. He will have people in front of him, obviously, you will argue otherwise, but this is a moment no one will ever take away from him, winning the Sinquefield Cup. As he said, putting his name on that roster of great players who have won this tournament, and now you will have Wesley So as the reigning champion, going next year as the defending champion of the Sinquefield Cup. Full autograph there. He'll be signing a lot more of those as his stock continues to rise.
Then we see Dr. Jeannie Sinquefield getting ready to congratulate Wesley So. She's not afraid to be the first one to officially congratulate him. And a big hug from Jeannie. And you see that Wesley is celebrating with his family. No better feeling than that to win the tournament in his home country with his family watching as well and supporting him.
A great boost to your confidence when you win such a tournament, to be sure. Who knows what this will do for him. As he mentioned, he's learning every single game he plays, every single tournament he plays in. He learned from losing to Magnus, but he's learning, and that's the point. He's humble young man, always giving credit where credit is due, never overstating his case. And I would suggest to our team that we get him down here for another interview as champion. If he came back, we're going to get him. We should get the champion's interview as well. But here, a dejected Veselin Topalov had his chance and threw it away.
And Jennifer, even though we're going to be back on Tuesday, there's not going to be a playoff. We just want to give a shout out to everybody who made this production possible. The people here have just been fantastic.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Randy Sinquefield and the Spectrum Studios crew, Tom, John, Brian, Marcus, Eric, our graphics guy, Jen, of course, director on set. Yeah, just fantastic. Kevin, who does the unenviable job of trying to make us all look good. And Justin, of course, David. There's Tatev and Kylie also. They also put together the Sinquefield, the Cup Chronicle, which is a newsletter, so that when people come to the club, they can find it online, but also when they come to the club, they get it printed out. All the news from the game before, along with beautiful diagrams. So it's great to have that. We've got Madison and Ryan, all the staff here at the chess club, and the special events at the Hall of Fame with Shannon, of course, Julie and Tony. They make it all happen.
And the whole staff, of course, here at the Chess Club. By the way, guys, we jumped the gun. Check this out.
You see something?
Yes. In this position, King D3 was played, and you can't promote the pawn to a queen because there's a threat of Rook A1 checkmate. You notice that
so we've got Rook at Knight.
Very carefully after promoting the pawn, Levon Aronian reached for a knight, which is a basic draw, king and knight versus king and rook. But there are still ways that Levon can go wrong.
So it's going to continue.
So it's going to continue.
Continues.
So a key principle with the king and knight is to keep the knight close. You don't want to go hopping around the board and get separated from your king, because oftentimes the king and rook will be able to trap the knight to the king.
Well, Levon seems to know this endgame. He's playing very quickly and confident.
Seems to.
He's studied this one before.
We've seen this once or twice. And yes, this is an important point that you brought up, Yaz, that this is a fundamental part of this ending as well. The under promotion to a knight. You might have panicked thinking that you are going to lose because you can't promote to a queen. But this, in this particular geometric, you under promote to a knight and it's still drawing no matter where it happens, except over on the H file, in which case you lose the game. But in this case, it is not the case, and it's a very good point that we get to watch all of this happen. And Levon has no winning chances. I mean, of course,
no winning.
I'm sorry, not Levon. Topalov has no winning chances, no real winning chances. But he's going to keep trying a little bit. He knows his opponent knows his ending, and it's trivial for a player of this level. But it is a part of the ending, so we get to see the stuff that we see in the books.
That's right.
All the time.
We're going to see this play out, guys. We've also got arbiters, Tracy, David, Mike here at the Chess Club. We've got Aviv. We've got photographers, Austin, Leonard. It's really a fantastic team. People ask about how the production stays up to this level, and
there's a good reason why. There's a lot of people behind the camera.
I'd like to very quickly, since we're doing these instructional techniques, and the king's going to go back to D1. I don't know if he's going to draw any second. He could keep a camera on the players, but let's give a little bit more instruction to the audience really quickly. This knight, and we see now the move Rook to F2. He's going to play King to C1 immediately, so still trying ideas. This knight does not want to leave the environment, the environ, they say in French, of the king, the environs of the king. Knight to G5 is already losing. You saw what just happened. It just went crazy. Mate in 32. The engines are saying, mate in 32. You move the knight away, and suddenly Rook F5, and you try to bring the knight back, and suddenly King D3, and look at this knight. It has so little squares. It doesn't want to go here because it's going to be trapped down the board. And if you go knight to G3, then suddenly Rook F3, and you're looking woefully for squares for your knight. You don't want to go in the corner because of mate, of course. And if you go here, it's still mate. Dangerous thing to do. But principally, of course, once this happens, you are tested once. You keep your knight nearby. And that's the key. And that's what he did. And if you have to, you just keep going back and forth with your king. And so this is what's happening in this game of Topalov's. So nothing Topalov can do because his opponent knows exactly what to do. Keep the knight near the king. Do not let it leave, because if you do, you will end up in serious trouble. That knight gets easily trapped by the king and the rook. I'm reminded of my safari I just went on in South Africa, and one of the key things the lions do is they want you to get separated from the herd so they can hunt you down. Stay with the pack. They might eat somebody else.
All you have to do is be faster than the neighbor.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh my.
This is indeed a draw. He's looking, but he already knows the facts. He's played this move yet again. One small point, only move.
No, I think it was king and rook and knight.
The one with Gary versus Judith. Yeah.
Yes, and also Erwin and me lost it to Magnus. So there was a pair, a king, rook, and knight versus king and rook. But I'm trying to think if I've
ever seen somebody lose this one in a famous game.
No, we can all lose it, but I'm trying to think of between two top grandmasters, and I can't recall a moment. I actually had the king and rook against king and knight against Sergei Kudrin, and I had an opportunity to win it. I let it slip by, and it was a draw. But there was just one brief moment, and it wasn't from this type of situation.
So one try here is the move rook to e2.
Rook to e2.
That would be the.
Oh, I think we have some moves on the board, though.
Well, I'm looking at the screen right now.
Okay, so for this,
so from this position, rook to e2, trying to get that knight to leave, it will not do so. The king will come back to rescue it. So if the rook moves one square closer to the knight, going diagonal from the knight, rook e2, then king over to d1.
Yes.
Attacking the rook and preparing the square. So instead he's played the move rook to d5, trying to keep the king away from that knight. But just stay close.
Stay close. That's the key principle. Stay
anywhere.
close.
Just stay close.
The counter started on move 74.
And why is that important, Jen?
Because there's 50 move roll.
The 50 move roll, exactly.
And we're now at
Veselin
Veselin might just go the whole 50. Do you think he will?
There's so much at stake, but yeah, I would play 20. 20 for sure. Yeah, I'd play 20 for sure. If I couldn't get my opponent's king out of dodge, then I'd have to give it up.
Yeah, so 74, we're at about 81 right now.
Last one was 81.
Oh, and there we go. It is a draw. Wesley So is the 2016 Sinquefield Cup champion. Thanks to this man, Levon Aronian, and we see him right here. Wesley.
Wow. What a breakthrough result. Hearty congratulations to Wesley So.
The amount of hard work you have to put in to just win one game, much less win an entire tournament. He is certainly a happy camper right now, showing that he can win in the best of environments. An amazing victory for this young man.
And 13 Grand Chess Tour points
for
Wesley.
Right. 13 instead of 12.
Instead of 12.
So that's significant as well. And that's clear $75,000 and a commanding lead in the Grand Chess Tour as well.
Absolutely.
Huge. Now, what does this mean about second place in this tournament? In those points, we do have our final standings now, which we'll get up in a second. Of course, they have now been determined.
Yes.
So that means there's 3 players with +1, right?
Yeah.
4 players. Sorry, 4 players with +1, and they all tie through 2nd through 5th. And
how important was that victory by Fabiano Caruana today?
Yeah.
Huge, right?
And now Nakamura in a tie from 6th through 7th. Not quite as high up as I thought he would be, but that was because we thought Levon would drop down to that group and that Veselin would be higher.
Exactly.
So, this will mean that they'll split 10, 8, 7, and 6. 31 divided by 4, a little bit less than 8 for each player, it seems, which is going to be interesting because at least there won't be ties. It'll be some type of number with like a fraction, right? So I don't think we're gonna have. I don't think we're gonna have a tie for the winner of the Grand Chess Tour this year. It's gonna be a clear winner, I think.
But that's an important stat because Levon Aronian, I think, has 8 points. I think he's the one player in that group that has 8.
Yes.
From one of the previously 8 from one of the other 2 tournaments, the Leuven or Paris, I forget which one, which gives him 16 and change. But his 16 and change is right behind Nakamura's 17, but far away. Actually, Nakamura's 17 and a half, which is far away from Wesley's 23.
Right.
I mean, there's almost no way if Wesley plays any decent chess
in London,
should he be caught.
I thought Nakamura was the only one who had a reasonable chance.
Nakamura's at 17 and a half right now, though, with his best numbers. The win in Paris and his 4.5 points here are his top 2 numbers. That's 17 and a half. Wesley has 23 points.
Yeah, so if Nakamura wins London, he'll have 30 and a half. And so Wesley would have to get 2nd or 3rd. It's not that easy to do.
No.
So that was, but Nakamura has to win.
Yeah.
That's it.
Clear.
Yeah.
Win clear.
Right. Exactly. That's a tall order, but Nakamura will try.
Yes.
Stranger things have happened, right?
Wow.
Actually, Nakamura might look at it as a real challenge. At 17 and a half, Wesley's current score is 30 if he keeps all three numbers. So it's a bad result. Even a bad result in London, you can say at 30 points. But Nakamura is 17 and a half with 13 would give him 30 and a half.
Yeah.
And he would barely win the Grand Chess Tour by the slimmest of margins.
Right,
So he has
exactly.
to go all out and win the tournament.
Well, if he wins the tournament, he has a very good chance.
Actually, if he wins the tournament, he deserves it because that means he would have won 2 of the legs.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Getting second or third in the London Chess Classic will be a phenomenal result.
What a day, what a game, and we're getting Levon Aronian set up in studio.
That's right, Wesley So's new BFF.
Yeah, best friend forever.
Hey, last time you didn't know what that
I
meant.
didn't catch up, I play catch up. I study, I work hard.
Got it. Well, and here he is with Maurice Ashley.
Well, Levon Aronian certainly was tested today, had a critical position, could have lost, but managed to dust off that Levenfish Smyslov, or what did you guys use? What's your basic endgame, rook and pawn endgame book that you studied to know the nuance, the finer nuances of
I
rook and
don't
pawn endings?
know what I studied, but I definitely didn't study it right. And the position, I somehow thought that I have drawing chances, but it's probably hopeless.
You were lost, definitely, at one point in this game.
Even
At many points.
closer to the end, move number 64, he can play king c5, and I'm resigning. It's a beautiful win.
Which position are you talking about?
Yeah, I would like to show it. Yeah, here. Yes. King d3, rook a4, e5, and king c5 now wins actually, instead of rook a3. It's pretty incredible. I can't play e4 because rook a3 check, king or c2, king c2 for example, king d4, rook a7, and king e4, king b2, rook a5, and this is a theoretical loss. King c3, king d5, king b4, rook a1, king b5, and rook b1.
And the rook b1 check.
Rook b1 check, king a5, king c6. And if king
King c6, right?
yeah. And if king c4, king c5. So I was so upset because I've been hoping I'm already out of danger, and then I
That
realized.
doesn't seem like it's right, though. I wonder. Somehow.
What should I play? I didn't see a move. Should I go rook a7? But then king d5, the same thing.
I'm not quite sure, but let's see if we can pull up. The moment in the game is what move number? It's move 64, you said?
Yeah. Yeah. After e5.
Right, and
Instead of rook a3, yeah.
instead of rook a3. So let's go back over this line again.
Uh,
Move 63, e5. Oh, in this position, you should have played
King c5, yes.
Jen is wonderful, but she's not a chess player. King c5.
Sorry, I'm going to go to the big board and try this move. King c5, according to the engine, you're drawing with rook to a7.
But how? King d5?
And then king d5, then king to c3.
Oh, right. This is the only way. And then I get the same thing with the king on c4, right.
Yeah.
But I was terrified. No, because king b5 and then rook b1 check, king c4, rook b6.
Wait, which line are you saying?
Here.
If, which move?
He has to take on e5.
Yes.
King b3, rook a1, king c4, or king, doesn't matter,
Yeah.
king d6. Here, check, and I have to play king c4. And then rook b6. And rook h7, I think, is theoretical draw.
Yes.
But it was a
With
real
the
try.
clock ticking. With the clock ticking,
It
of
was
course.
a real try, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Wow, so you must be relieved.
Yeah, because I've been playing a bad game. And I deserved to lose, and I didn't. So. it was kind
Well,
of
you're now tied for second place, and chess is not necessarily fair, but your assessment of your performance in the tournament itself.
I was not playing my best, definitely far from it. Then I got sick at certain moments, so I think the result is decent. The play needs to be improved.
All right. Well, it's been a long day and a long tournament, and you're one of our favorite guys. You say I say that to everybody, but it happens to be true in this case.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and we'll see you in London.
Great. Thank you guys for your magnificent work.
Thank you. Well appreciated.
Thank you, Levon.
For the workout game lessons.
Wow, yes, that was actually a big shock there when Levon came in explaining that he was terrified that his opponent was about to play King C5 and that he was prepared to resign the game, not realizing that he could still save it with Rook A7. Wow. What a game. What drama. Jeez, and tension as well.
Indeed. And we have Veselin Topalov with Maurice Ashley.
And of course, I said see you in London to Aronian, but I'm reminded that I'm going to see him in 2 days for Ultimate Moves. He'll be a part of that, and he's always a big trash talker. That should be fun, but what wasn't any fun today, Veselin, you really had a number of opportunities to win this game, and it just slipped away. Tell us why.
Yeah. No, I think after some time I've been winning for most of the game. But then, I think I should just put my rook behind the pawn, as everybody teach you, and then slowly win. But this rook d4 move was just a very bad idea. And then it's probably a draw already.
What happened? Why do you feel like you played
I had some hallucination. Like I thought I was winning a tempi compared to one position where I take his rook, but in fact it's not true. So it was move by move looked like a draw.
The tournament has ended for you with a tie for a second, which normally would be a pretty solid result, but you seem disappointed.
Well, after this game, of course, but not only. I mean, I missed against Fabiano. I had a winning move against Hikaru, almost winning move, and missed very big chances to win.
A lot of people, after seeing your result in Paris and Leuven, might have counted you out, but you've proven once again that you're not somebody anyone can count out from possibly fighting for the first place titles. What are you looking forward to in the near future as far as your tournaments are concerned, and possibly even London?
Well, but you know, that Paris and Leuven, it was rapid and blitz. It's a bit different, I would say. And now I'll be playing the Olympiad, some games, and then London, and maybe something else. But for the moment, it's Olympiad and London.
And your thoughts about your energy going into those events?
Nothing special, you know. Well, London, it will be, of course, nice. And Olympiad, it's a team competition, and I don't think I'll be playing many games. So, but okay. Of course, I have to compete for my country.
Indeed, and it's the Olympic year. Well, we know you're a great fighter, and thanks for allowing us to watch these games and get your rest. We'll see you in a couple of days in Ultimate Move.
Thank you, Maurice and Veselin, for giving us the thrills and spills that you brought to this tournament. You are really a great crowd pleaser with the energy and the risk-taking that have been your hallmark. Disappointing, very disappointing finish. Nothing else to possibly be said, but wow. I mean, until the very last drop, there was that was a heck of a game, Jennifer. It was just a heck of a game.
Lots of content to go over again and again, but right now we have the 2016 Sinquefield Cup champion with us. Congratulations, Wesley So.
Wesley So, he is the champion. The champ is here. Wesley, you had a long tournament. I imagine all the preparation that went into something like this. To win such a tournament against such an illustrious field, to add your name to the great ones who have won this event, how does it feel?
Yeah, it's incredible, you know, it's amazing. I I can't really describe how I feel, but it's like, you know, living the dream. I think this is definitely my biggest win. Biggest win ever so far. And other than Magnus and Kramnik, who is number 1 and number 3 in the world respectively, you know, all the great players are here.
Absolutely, you had a fantastic field chasing you, and you might have had just one hiccup against Ding Lorraine, that was a bad position. Can't call it like it was a lost position. Just a bad position for a moment that went away. Otherwise, you looked very much in control in this entire competition. Again, what do you attribute that to? That you just seem so cool, calm, and collected throughout.
Well, I think overall it's it's just playing these great opponents has made me better, and also the experience, and also my approach, which is to take one game at a time and try to get better after every single game, and forget about the last game, and move on to the next game as if it's a completely different tournament. I think that has helped me a lot because it has opened up more energy reserves, and also I've become more focused being that way. Yeah.
I mentioned you're 22 years old, and yet you speak the wisdom of a geriatric guy, somebody who's been around the block. How did you learn so much wisdom at such a young age?
Well, I have many people to thank. Of course, my family is here. Notice for also teaching me, and thank you for being here and teaching me things other than chess, how to be a competitor. Also, teaching me about life every day. But also, I'd like to thank the Lord for giving me this win, this amazing win. I was last place here last year, and jumping from last place to first place is really unbelievable.
Incredible turnaround.
Yeah. I mean, before the tournament, no one possibly could have imagined I would have won this.
You know what? Yasser won.
Yasser?
Yasser had some faith in you, and he's putting his hands up right now, cheering that he did get it right. So Yasser, of anyone, guessed you.
Because he guessed before the event,
Yeah, it was after round 2, actually.
After round 2.
After
round 2.
Oh, yes. It was after.
Not before. Open it.
Yeah, the story's going to change. He's going to tell us that he guessed from last year that you were going to
He guessed
No,
before,
it was after round 2, but still.
Yeah, of course, after my win in game 1, my odds have become a little higher. But
you made the whole tournament still. That took a big effort because you did. It was +2. It wasn't like it was +5.
Yeah, +2. I mean, before the tournament, if you say +2 would win the event, I wouldn't be so sure about it. But since in this tournament, everyone is very close, I mean, I'd like to thank also my opponents for helping me a lot. They're extremely great players and extremely great fighters. And everyone here is so close that any guy basically can win this event when they're in good form. Even Peter, for example, or even Anish in a great day, it's possible for him to win this event. So if we start this tournament all over again, there might be a different winner, but I won it this time.
Let me ask you a question as we bring our graphic up. Was there ever a moment in this tournament where you had doubts, where you felt like things may not be going your way? You went such a smooth route here. You see that your total points of 30 for the Grand Chess Tour. You're currently clear first by a commanding margin. You also won $75,000 today.
Yeah.
Amazing amount of money, to be sure. Any doubts during this tournament? Any moments when you may have questioned yourself, or just felt like maybe this is not going to happen?
Yeah, the doubts. I think basically before my win against Veselin in round 6, I possibly couldn't have thought that I was going to win clear first because everyone was tight. I mean, I was only +1 win in all those facts. And then also, after my game against Anish, if you look at the quality of my games from round 2 to 4, they were not the best. So I was lacking something. I need to play better than that. So basically, before my win against Veselin, it's not easy to predict that I would win this event.
Can you tell us now, though, when you did defeat him and you realized that now you were indeed a favorite to win the event?
Yeah.
Was there ever a point where it was hard for you not to think, I think I'm going to win this, to keep those thoughts out of the head? Because sometimes you put those thoughts in, it could cost you as well.
Yeah, I think the best way is not to think about it. As I said, I was taking it one game at a time.
How do you do that? How do you stop from thinking this is going to be the biggest win of your career and just focus on one game?
Well, I think I'm not an expert at this. I'm not a psychologist, but I think basically you just have to clear your thoughts and forget about everything. But just think of your opponent the next day. Like even today against Maxim, I knew that if I drew, I would most likely win the tournament. But before the game, I said to myself, take this just as a game, just as an ordinary every other day game, and just play my best and try to learn from it. And it worked perfectly because I was just taking it as a normal everyday routine.
Well, it wasn't a normal and everyday game, and you're not a normal and everyday young man. You're a great champion. We have just a moment when the game concluded. They're happy family members.
Yeah.
Everyone cheering you on. This had to be one of the more special moments in your life to date.
Yeah, definitely. That is my biggest win to date. Also, at one point, Veselin was completely winning this one, so I was.
Yes.
Was
were you watching, by the way? Were you watching this game?
I was watching this and putting it in a strong computer. And at one point, it was showing plus 123 for Veselin. Yeah. So
take a look at this list. Fine list of gangsters if you just joined. Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, Levon Aronian, and now the 2016 champion of the Sinquefield Cup, Wesley So.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore, gang.
Mount
Rushmore.
Well, I'm glad that President Magnus is not there. Yeah, I think if Magnus was here, it would have been a tiny bit more difficult to win. Maybe a bit more time, a bit larger, but I think what they say. I heard the saying before that you shouldn't play the Chinese in China.
Yeah, sure.
And I was saying, don't play the Americans in the United States.
Well,
gotta defend home court.
Levon had something to say about that last year, defeating the three of you guys, but he ended up helping you today and allowing you to win on home soil.
Next year might be different, but I'd like to thank Rex and Jeannie for holding this tournament, for giving relentless support to the players and making them feel special. And also for having me in this tournament. I almost didn't qualify for the Grand Gesture for this year. And it's an amazing turnaround.
Well, you're firmly in the pantheon of the top 10 players in the world. Congratulations on a spectacular result. You deserve it, and we look forward to seeing your fine play.
Thank you for PFU, Maurice and Jen and the after who believed in me after round 2.
It was before that time.
Before, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Either way,
congratulations.
you have a lot more believers now.
It's a lot more believers, a lot more Twitter followers, I'm sure, and a lot more fans. Wesley, congratulations on a great tournament.
We still have the ultimate moves.
Ultimate moves, but you can celebrate tonight.
Yeah, we will.
Wesley So, the happy champion, deserving champion, at 22 years old, showing that he is a shining star in the bright lights of chess.
That's right, and that smile is contagious. I think everybody watching this is trying to imitate Wesley's smile. And it's just coming naturally because he's so happy to be happy with him. And he's also gotten a huge lead off in the Grand Chess Tour, but there's one more stop. So there are chances that somebody else could win it, although he's very much in front. And that's going to be the London Chess Classic. That is going to be December, and you're going to be able to watch that live as well. So keep those dates on your calendar and consider a visit to London in person.
Absolutely.
And we have some final thoughts on this another spectacular edition of the Sinq Cup by Maurice.
Well, what fun this was. In the middle of the tournament, we saw a lot of draws happening, but the result of those was to make it close at the end. And that's the kind of drama you want in a tournament. Anybody could win. There were 7 players who were aligned for the possibility of winning the tournament, but one rose to the top, Wesley So. What a personable young man. What a great champion, a great player to represent the United States in the upcoming Olympiad. His modesty, he's so self-effacing in his style, and his wisdom is what I'm impressed by at 22. To be so insightful about how to handle his business, this young man will be a threat for a long time to come. I predict the first of many great tournaments that he will be winning. He's certainly a dangerous one now, but for the moment, he'll just simply accept this one. And I'm thrilled to have been alongside you guys watching yet another Sinquefield Cup. It's always a joy, this tournament. There are always special moments. And to be here with the Super Friends. We did such a great job together, guys. Always a pleasure indeed with everyone that's a part of this team.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. And also for our live commentators and our guest commentators, Eric Hansen, Alejandro Ramirez, Ben Feingold, Robert Hess, and I said Eric Hansen.
Yes, you did.
But Eric Hansen again.
Yes, the Canadian.
Yeah, where's he from?
And to you, Jennifer. It was a great pleasure.
It was, and again, thanks to Gary Kasparov.
Yes.
That's going to be on YouTube, and people are going to be rewatching and watching that. And for more Gary Kasparov, more Yasser, more of all of this, don't forget to tune in on Tuesday for Ultimate Moves. We'll see you guys then.
Have a good evening.